We like to start every episode with the disclaimer that we are not professionals. Our conversations are solely based on our personal experiences, thoughts, and opinions. Nothing discussed here is meant to be taken as professional mental health or medical advice. If you have questions or need assistance, please seek the help of a licensed professional.
Discussions in this podcast may sometimes revolve around heavy material such as abuse, grooming, religious trauma, and more. Please listen with caution and prioritize your mental health first.
Welcome to Trauma Bondage,
the podcast where we talk about trauma, kinks, and non-traditional lifestyles and relationships from a queer lens.
We're your hosts,
Brigitte
and Beth.
Hi, guys.
I was literally disassociating so hard.
Well, I had a new intro song.
And then you just did all of that. Oh my God.
Energy. More passion, more energy, more footwork. Beth is hungover.
I'm not doing well.
And I'm not.
I feel like everyone's gonna think by how many times I say I'm hungover in episodes that like I'm like an excessive drinker. Like I drink, I'm a party girl, whatever. No, bitch, I had 2 drinks last night.
Formerly party girl.
In retirement.
You're in retirement. You're in your soft girl, cozy, home,
wine at home
homebody era. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my problem is that yesterday I know I was bad and I didn't drink a lot of water. And that's really not my fault. That's my wife's fault. Because that's their responsibility.
They're in charge. That's the intake.
But yeah, I didn't drink enough water. And then I had 2 gin and tonics. And here we are.
Sorry.
I wonder if that's why I'm sick.
I used to love gin. I loved gin. Mm-hmm. Gin and tonic was my beverage. And then I, right after college, went through a really bad breakup.
Oh.
One of my best friends at the time, who was an alcoholic at the time, was like, let's go out. And we went out, I shit you not, every day for 6 days straight.
That's crazy.
And just got drunk from sun up to sundown on gin and tonics while I was in rehearsals for a show at a place that had no AC, but was also set in the winter. So we were wearing wool. In Texas summer heat.
I
think if I was ever close to experiencing what a hangover is, I think that was probably the time.
Yeah.
But I was just throw up and keep going. I was just drunk the whole time. So finally, when I actually slept, I was like, oh, okay, everything's fine. But I was just drunk for 5-6 days straight.
My body could never.
Ooh, Lord.
I've never been drunk that many days in a row.
Yeah, that was it. That was the end of gin and tonic for me. I just can't. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Gin in general.
That's how I am with whiskey. I did that with whiskey. But anyways, we're not here to talk about alcohol today. We're here to talk about creepers and stalkers.
Stalkers.
And creeping.
Yeah.
And stalking.
The stalkies and the stalkers on both sides.
Yeah.
The sleuthing. New career path.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a serious side of this episode that we're going to talk about, actual stalking and the scary stalking.
Well, also there's just a bunch of silly shit.
But then also we're going to talk about how a lot of times women have to sleuth and stalk people before we meet up with them to make sure that we're not going to get murdered, axe murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with all of that being said,
Gonna start with the light side or the dark side?
Let's start with our stalking experiences.
Being stalked?
Let's start with the dark side. We'll end on the light side.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to start or you want me to start?
I can start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Bridget and I have both had stalkers. You've had multiple, right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
Yeah. You're
I think I'm too approachable. And so there are personality types that get they come to me and then they're like, oh, this person's so nice to me. Now I must I'm in love with them. Sure, but just
you're like, can you just give me a second? Yeah, so we both had stalkers. I've had a couple. She's had a couple. I think most women have experienced being stalked on some level or another, unfortunately. And so I'm going to talk about my most recent experience with it and what happened there. So when I was working in my first corporate job, and I was probably 25 at the time, I was working in tech recruiting. And if any of you guys have ever done tech recruiting, know about tech recruiting, you interact with a lot of very frankly weird men. Like, that's just, it is what it is. It's a lot of basement dwellers who, like, don't see women ever in their lives.
They're either really odd or it's very, like, bro culture.
Yeah, it's like two sides of the same coin. But anyways, there was a man that was a candidate that I was working with at the time. And my office required us, when we were interviewing candidates, to, like, bring them into the office. So, like, I had to, like, have this guy come in to do an interview with him and then decide, like, if he was going to be a good fit for my client.
You now know where I work and what floor I'm on and
precisely
who I am.
Precisely. So this guy comes in. He's like maybe 5'8", nerdy, blonde man who can't make eye contact to save his life with glasses. I don't really think anything about it. This is just like
setting the scene. Here's the visual.
This is what I'm used to. Yeah. So I interview him. The interview's really awkward because he's not communicative at all. And
just a bad interview.
Yeah, it was a bad interview. I was like, ooh, I'm not working with this guy. Like, I cannot represent him to my clients well at all. And so he leaves. I don't think anything about it until like 2 or 3 days later, we get a phone call at the office. And my boss is like, hey, this person's asking for you. So I pick up the phone and he's like, hey, I just wanted to know, like, are there any updates? And I, like, kind of fill him in on the situation. Like, I don't think your background's a good fit for what we have right now. Like, I'll keep you in the loop if anything comes up. Whatever. We have a casual conversation. It's fine. That night, I get a follower on Instagram. And one of the things about the office that I worked in, too, was that a lot of times we would use our cell phones to, like, make work calls.
Personal cell phone.
My personal cell phone.
This is why you should always add a Google number and use the Google number because it changes your phone number.
Lesson learned. So because that was in my email signature.
Pro tip of avoiding being stalked.
This man had my cell phone number. So I'm not sure. I have no idea how he found me on Instagram, but he followed me on Instagram.
Because of your phone number, it would have popped up as people you may know.
Potentially, but I didn't have my phone number tied to my Instagram at the time. It was tied to my Snapchat, not my Instagram.
Was it tied to Facebook?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think at the time, my name was like my actual name on Instagram. So I think he probably just like searched and found me, whatever. So he followed me on there. I'm like, ooh, I don't want this. Like, I didn't let any of the people that I worked with at that time, like, follow me on Instagram. I was like, I don't want this overlap. So I blocked him. And the same night, I get a message request and a friend request from somebody, I have no idea who it is, on Snapchat. And so I add this person because I'm like, oh, it's maybe a friend of mine, whatever. And they immediately send me a video.
Oh, no.
And no, it wasn't a video. It was a picture.
Either way. Oh, no.
Yeah, it was a picture. So I open it.
Of what? And
you guys already know what it was.
Oh.
Yes. With a cock ring around it.
How?
Out of the blue.
What?
And at this point, I don't know who this is. Like, I have no idea who this is. The name, obviously, it's the same guy. But the name that he was using on Snapchat was not his name. So I'm like, who the fuck is this? I message them back and I go off on them. And I'm like, don't ever fucking send me a dick pic again. At this point, I think I wasn't with my ex yet, but I think I was out. Or I was like, I wasn't dating men anymore. I wasn't dating men anymore. So I basically was just like, I'm not interested.
Regardless.
Like, whatever this is, I don't know who you are.
You don't have to be gay to not be interested, and you should always, you should not send anything without consent, period.
Yeah, ever. So I go off on him. He responds in like a very aggressive way and is like...
Well, yeah, you just rejected him.
He was saying, I'm not going to repeat what he said. He was saying disgusting things to me. Like, disgusting things. So I screenshot everything and I'm like, I need to figure out who this is. So I go and I realize that the number tied to the Snapchat contact is this guy's phone number. Because I had like an inkling. I was like, is this the same guy? So I realize it's him. So I block him.
In what world does any of this make sense? That's what
it's
blows
insane.
My mind.
It gets worse. So then I block him on, he tries to send me a Facebook friend request after that. I block him on there. He creates another Instagram profile.
Jesus.
I blocked him on there. He created probably 20 to 30 Instagram profiles to send me requests. He created fake Snapchat accounts.
You can take the hint after the first 7.
Yeah. So this is all in the span of 48 hours that this is happening. Jesus. He's creating stuff, following me, all this. So I'm freaked the fuck out. And I go to work one day and I pull into the garage and I see him standing outside of the garage just waiting. Mm-hmm. So I keep driving. I'm like, I'm not going to go
at your
my
office?
Normal route at my office because he knows where I work.
Where you work,
yeah.
Oh my God.
So I go a different way and I go through a back hallway and I go to my boss and I'm like, this guy's literally stalking me. He showed up at our
harassing
work.
me.
He's harassing.
Yeah.
So we had to alert the security downstairs.
Jeez.
I had to talk to my legal team at work. I tried to go file a police report and press charges and get a restraining order. And they said the only way, they were like, you don't have a good case.
This is the issue, state of Texas.
Yeah. They said you don't have a good case unless there's a domestic violence situation. Then this is not really going to hold up. But if you want to try to get a restraining order, you're going to have to go to see this guy in court and confront him in court in person. They wouldn't let me do anything unless I was going to go to court with this guy.
Even in court, just so you know, in the state of Texas, they likely wouldn't award it to you because you didn't have a history of violence being happened to you. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, in the state of Texas, I'm not entirely certain what the laws are elsewhere. I know in California, it's really easy to get a restraining order. So you can literally just disturb the peace and get a restraining order. But in the state of Texas, the likelihood that you will get a restraining order is a lower probability than you will die at the hands of the person you want the restraining order at first as a woman. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I have a friend who finally got a restraining order after she had been stalked relentlessly by her ex, relentlessly. And it took him breaking in and trying to murder her for them to take her request seriously. And she had been trying for over a year. And he was constantly harassing her, stalking her, saying threatening things. He just hadn't done anything to her yet. Yeah, it took him getting in and doing something where she miraculously survived it to be able to get the restraining order. But guess what? A restraining order is still just a piece of paper and they can still walk through it. It takes actual law enforcement to show up and take him away.
Exactly. Well, that's what they told me. They were like, he hasn't physically done anything yet. So I was like, okay, so we'll wait for him to do something then. And so I didn't end up even getting to file one because I wasn't willing to show up in the same court as him. I was like, I told him, I was like, this is insane that you would expect me to put myself in a dangerous position with this man that I'm literally trying to never be in the same place with again, just to prove. Because they were like, you have to prove that he's done something.
Yeah.
I'm like, that shouldn't be I have receipts. I took all of the screenshots and I showed them everything. And so it ended up fizzling, but for a year after, and knock on wood, he's been quiet for a long time, but for a year after, I was getting requests from him on every social media platform. I still don't know how many times he showed up to the office. I have no idea. The good thing is we had security, so I felt safe once I was in the office. Mm-hmm. But the fear that you live with, knowing that somebody knows where you work and they know your name and your phone number and all of that, it was terrifying. I was like, I feel like I'm going to end up in this guy's basement. Truly.
You could have.
Yeah.
You could have.
It was terrifying.
That's well beyond the point of inappropriate. Mm-hmm. It wasn't appropriate to begin with, but not even taking the hint after hey, no, that wasn't cool. Fuck off.
No, he was stalking.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. It was weird. So, yeah. That's my experience.
That's your story. Was that the only time you've ever had that, or
that was the worst one.
The worst one.
That was the worst one. I've had another guy when I was in college who he was somebody that I knew through church or something like that, and he also sexually assaulted me, and then stalked me after.
Lovely.
Yeah. So he was not somebody that I ever saw following me. But social media stalking, I would block, he would friend, he would text me, he would harass me after he literally sexually assaulted me. And I never pressed charges about this. I was 19. I didn't know any better.
You don't have to have an
I didn't realize that just because you sleep in a bed with somebody doesn't give them a right to do whatever they want to you.
Yep.
So that is a lesson learned. we'll probably have a whole other episode about that at some point, because that's a whole other topic that I feel like deserves its own time. But
its own time.
Yeah, that was the other time that happened.
I'm sorry that happened to you. That's not fun. That's not fun.
No, but it's sad how many women, like, I feel like...
I think it's a story that almost every woman I know
yeah.
has a story that's similar like this.
Yeah.
I have two. One was by another fucking woman, which, like, anybody can do it.
Yeah. It's not exclusive
It's still
to
weird.
men.
So one of mine was an ex. Sort of.
Yeah.
Like, we had talked and we were, like, kind of... it was more of a fling. Like, there was never an established relationship, anything like that. This person was, like, an orphan, was adopted by this well-off family, was going to inherit this house, like, didn't really have a job. Their credit score was all kinds of fucked up. They knew that they were going to inherit this house. This house had a fucking, like, elevator in it, if that tells you anything. So I think with it, had a lot of entitlement, which is, I think, what made this scenario difficult. I would put this more in the realm of fixation than stalking, but because of the fixation, there was stalking involved. This person just fell in love with me, even though, like, we weren't established, and I was like, I'm not really looking for a relationship right now. Like, I was pretty clear about it at that point, where I was just like, I'm just having fun. Like, it's casual. It wasn't casual for them.
Chaperone casual for them.
Chaperone casual for them. Yes, absolutely. At one point, like, I had a girlfriend and I wasn't seeing them at all. Like, I had met them before and then I was in a relationship. I ended up in the hospital because I had a surgery, and they came to my hospital room, which was nice. Like, as a friend, because at the time, like, I was like, oh, we're friends. Everything's good. So this is where, like, the weirdness started. Came to my hospital room, brought me my favorite flowers. Really sweet gesture, especially at the time because my girlfriend at that time literally didn't show up. I went in and out of 2 surgeries by myself, like, entirely alone. And my poor sister didn't know, and she was going through her, like, finals for school, so like she couldn't be there. She had to go take her test. Like, I was gonna be like, yeah, come sit with me while I'm in the hospital while you have to, like, flunk all your finals. Like, no. And my dad lived elsewhere at the time. Like, he was out there, and he was like, oh, well, like, I didn't come because I thought you had someone with you the whole time. She never fucking shut up. She just was the worst. That was the beginning of the end of that relationship. I digress. This girl shows up. She brings me my flowers. She's very sweet. My girlfriend at the time did not like this person because they were a very jealous person. They knew that, like, we had relations at some point, but, like, but I was also never that deep. That ex was problematic, to say the least, and very abusive. At some point, I'm like, hey, I need you to take this down off of social media. She had taken a photo of her holding my hand while I was fucking dead asleep in the hospital bed, like, drugged up on morphine and all kinds of stuff, with my hospital bracelet on, which I don't know if you know this. What information is on your hospital bracelet?
I'm pretty sure your social's on there.
Your social and your date of birth.
Yeah.
She posts this shit on the internet, on a public forum.
Dumbass.
Yeah, and I was, and when I'm like, hey, I need you to take this down, she immediately gets really upset about it. And she was like, but it's not like I wasn't doing anything. I was like, I don't give a fuck that you were, like, I think it's a little weird that you were holding my hand while I was dead asleep when, like, we aren't anything. Like, that's a little strange, and also a little, like, self-serving. Look at me, I'm at the hospital with this person. Like, that was a little strange. I was like, my personal information, she was like, oh, well, like, I have, like, my stuff out there all the time. I'm like, yeah, I'm not you. You have 0 fucking credit score because you don't have to buy a house ever. You're going to inherit one. You don't have to buy a car ever because your parents have, like, bought you, like, 7 of them.
Yeah.
Like, we are not the same. Like, no, I don't want my information out there. Somebody's going to steal my identity. That's fucked up. And I was pissed.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. That's so fucking crazy. So.
What's crazier is the way that she reacted.
Yeah, it was really strange.
Like, I'm like, what?
She got really defensive about it. About, like, the emotional aspect of it. And I was like, I don't give a fuck about that. I was like, it's a little strange, but, like, whatever. We'll let it slide. Like, you're strange. I ended up cutting it off during that time frame. 1, because I was pissed about that. But 2, I was also in a really mentally abusive, physically too, and, like, emotionally. But, like, that ex was just not a good partner. And fucked with my head and was like, cut them. Like, I don't want them around you. Especially after posting a photo of them holding my hand. And, like, I get it.
Yeah.
It was weird. And at the time I was like, sure, because that was the easier route. Time passes. Jen and I are together at that point. And we moved to Fort Worth. And we're living there. And I go to a Target one day, and lo and behold, who is working at the Target? This person is working at the Target. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah,
great.
babe.
And like, and they see me and they just like light up and they're like, oh my God. And like come and like hug me. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And we sit and we talk for a little bit on their break. Like reconnect. Cool. All good.
Yeah.
I was in an abusive relationship. Maybe I overthought things. I'm sorry. Like, oh yeah, I just moved to the area. Oh, okay. Like we should hang out. Okay, sure. Yeah, we'll hang out. I make the mistake of inviting this person over to like watch a movie with me.
Were you getting stalkery tendencies from them before?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. It was, they would get like a little too invested and a little too clingy, and I'd be like, they're also an Aquarius.
A pick-me Aquarius.
A little bit. They were like, this is when I say like Aquarius is like there's either one side or the other. They were the other. So they come over. Unfortunately, now know where I live at that time. And as it turns out, if you would go out onto my balcony, if you looked out, there was like a golf course and across the way a bunch of houses, and you could see her house. And it hadn't even like occurred to me that that was her place, because like I didn't live there. Like I would just show up and like go away, and it like I'm directionally challenged, y'all. So that was that was fun. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, oh, that's so cool. Like we can actually hang out. Like you're really close. Like I'm up here all the time. I go to the Target or work. Like she can literally see my patio from her home. Like if she goes and stands out on her front lawn.
Yeah.
And I can see her place. The night that we have a movie, keep in mind, I'm with Jen. I'm monogamous at this point. We have not discussed polyamory. That doesn't happen for another few years. Comes over. We watch a movie. It like she keeps inching closer to me on the couch, and at some point tries to hold my hand, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa! Like that's not what this is. Like, yeah, no.
And she knows about Jen?
Yes.
Okay.
We've literally been talking about her all night. We talked about it when I was at the Target. Like, oh yeah, this is my partner. We've been together for this long. Like, da. I don't think she ever fucking cared if I had a partner or not. Clearly it didn't. The other person clearly isn't with this. Like, and I was like, no, that's not what this is. Like, hey, let's not. And she takes it well, like at the time. Fast forward past that. There are some conversations that are had where like, she's like, oh, like you came back in my life to be with me. And I was like, no, like that's not what's going on. I was like, hey, like.
Who told you that, girl?
I was like, I'm going to have to step away again. Cause clearly like I was reading you right the first time. Like this isn't cool. Loses her ever loving mind. Like just loses it. Goes off on me.
Like she was mad at you for not wanting to be with her?
Basically for like leading her on and misconstruing what the relationship was, and like thinking that she came back, and like that I was alluding to like being across the way, like the universe was telling us to be together. It was starting to get woo woo, like getting a little
God,
kind of shit like that. Like you're across the way, like I can see you from my house, and I was like, what do you mean? Like
go read a book.
Strange. Yeah, go do something.
Yeah,
anyone, not me. So I had kind of warned Jen. I was like, hey, like. This is what's going on. This is what happened, because I hadn't told her about like the hand holding thing, but I was like, I think I needed to bring this up, that this is like an issue. I would recommend that you block this person just to be safe.
Yeah.
I was like, because I wouldn't be surprised if they like start popping up and doing weird shit. She was like, okay. I was like, I did too. Like they're blocked. That relationship is not happening. I'm not even opening that door any further than I did. And she's like, okay, cool. I'm so glad. Shortly thereafter we moved, which I'm glad, because there were a couple times where like I would go out on the balcony. I didn't spend a lot of time out on the balcony to begin with, because I am pale and like to stay inside in the dark. But like I would be like, I'm blind. I am certain there are times where she was literally standing on that lawn just staring straight at my balcony, where I caught it, and I was just like, so creepy. That's weird. So fast forward a little bit more time, TikTok comes out.
Okay.
Right? TikTok becomes mainstream. I don't think about it because I haven't thought about it. It's been a long time. What I love about social media these days is that it tells you when people view your profile.
Is she viewing your profile?
She showed up on my TikTok. She shows up on Jen's TikTok, and then immediately tries to start messaging Jen, telling her that I cheated on her way back when with her during that movie night.
The audacity.
The audacity. And I had warned Jen. I was like, she might do some shit. I was like, here we go. Like, here it is. Gets blocked. We don't even respond. We're not even fucking doing that. I get into my first polyamorous relationship. Guess who fucking starts popping up on all the photos of me and my partner on my partner's page? So I have to tell her what's going on. Right? And this person not only was just like viewing, but was starting to like comment and was trying to become friends with that person. Because at the time, I'm now polyamorous, which means I'm now dating multiple people. And either she's trying to get in or she's trying to be like, oh, well, she's a cheater, blah, 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 blah. Like, when that never happened, like, you
She just butthurt that you
were just butthurt I never wanted you. So there was a point where, like, she was literally showing up on, like, everyone in my life and was starting to message people and was starting to, like, message them, like, weird shit or saying things. Like, I had to shut it down. So now I'm upfront with, like, partners being like, hey, there's this one person, because I shit you not, to this day, she still pops up.
That's crazy.
To this day. And it has been 8 years.
Well,
like,
babe,
no, 9 years. 9 years.
If you're the stalker that I think you are, you're probably watching this episode. You need to get a life.
Leave me alone.
Please move on. She's moved on. You should move on.
So that was like a long-term one. Recently, I was dealing with a lot of shit. Part of August was just like a really bad month. So relatively recent, this year, happening where I live. August was a really shit month for a number of reasons. This was part of it. And I don't think I've even talked to you about this because I was just going through so many other things.
There's a lot of stuff
that I didn't even think about it. And like, this is kind of serious. So over the summer, there were some people who moved into my apartment complex in my area and didn't really think of any of it until it's these 3 guys that live together. And like, I guess they maybe all work together or like they just have one vehicle and they like ride together. I take my dog out on walks. I am home by myself all day because I work from home. I would take her out on walks and I'd like come back and every once in a while, and I could never pinpoint time frames. Every once in a while they would be around, like driving around the complex, driving in, out, whatever. They would straight up follow me. Not joking. Follow me in the complex, outside of the complex. If I was taking her on a walk, I got to a point where I wasn't leaving the complex because I didn't want to be out on the street alone. And that the street is like, it's a little like there's a lot of like pass through, but it's pretty fast and like there's not a whole lot of people around. There's not a lot of places that like I could run to for safety. I'm more likely to like be murdered and dropped in the creek, like kind of thing like that. Mind you, the area itself is relatively safe, so it's like I'm not used to this. I've been here for a while and I'm like, oh, okay, like it's fine. Start following me to the point where like they'll go in like the visitor lot and like turn around and they'll be like whistling at me and kissing at me and like trying to like just talk to me. It gets to a point where it gets past just the whistling and talking and following to the point where they're literally like creeping slowly, following me, trying to figure out what building I'm in.
Ugh.
And do
you have security at your building?
No.
Okay.
I'm in an older complex.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that costs money, baby. Like, I will say what is nice is that in my immediate building, I do have 2 security guards and a police officer who live in my building. So I have talked to them to the point where like, you know how you have like gut instinct and there are some people who are just like, oh, they're interested in whatever, but like, they're not creepy. I have never, and I've had experiences with assault and all kinds of shit in the past. I have never experienced that gut drop feeling of like, this is actually really bad.
Yeah.
And these people are not good. And I clocked it the first time they started like creeping. And what's nice is that like, I actually like walked my dog behind my dumpster and like, I actually didn't notice it at first. I dropped something and I bent down to get it, which made me disappear from their point of like their line of sight. And they like went around the corner really quick, like to try and catch me on the other side. Like I had like bolted or they just missed me moving or something like that. And I like watched it happen because I remember kind of peeking my head over and like watching them do it. And it's right by my building. So like I go around the back side of my building and I'm kind of like peeking through the breezeway a little bit, which luckily it's pretty covered and it's like a straight through breezeway. And I see them just like slowly driving past, like looking down the hallways for me. And they do it throughout the entire rest of that circle.
Are they like traffickers, do you think?
I don't know, nor will I ever know. I just think they were ill-intentioned. I wouldn't be, I mean, it's 3 relatively built men living together, stalking somebody.
That's why I'm like,
literally,
it feels like they do this. Like, this is their thing.
Well, also, they figure out where you live. They knock on the door, same maintenance. You open the door and you're overpowered by 3 men. Exactly. And you live at home alone.
It's a fucking nightmare.
It's a nightmare. Like, that's literally something I've had to think about, like, to the point where I don't even open the door for my maintenance. I know my maintenance guy. I had talked to him and I was like, hey, can we have like a safe word for when you're here? And he was like, yeah, totally. He's so nice. He's such a good guy. I'm like, please never leave me.
That's so scary.
So that was all going on. That was going on for 4 months, like consistently, to the point where like, I was like, Jen, you're up on night duty and stuff like that. But also like, if you want me to, like, let's go together because I don't want them harassing you. But like, they never bothered her. They were only bothering me. And it was really one guy who was like the worst. Like, even if the other guys weren't there, he was doing it consistently. So I had talked to like my security officers, and I definitely talked to the police officer who lives in my building because he's super nice. And I was like, hey, like, what do I do? Like, what do I do in this situation? I'm feeling unsafe at home. I can't, like, I don't feel like it's police report worthy because I already know the issues with restraining orders and stuff like that in the state of Texas. And technically they have not even approached me.
They've just followed you.
They've just been following me. And I was like, and I can't do a police report based on gut instinct. Nobody takes that seriously. And he was like, yeah, no, like there's nothing for a police report. He was like, that's really uncomfortable. He was like, well, one, you have me here. He was like, these are my working hours and days. If you're uncomfortable or something is happening, he was like, you come straight to me. He was like, it would probably behoove you to tell the front office and let them know. And he was like, and if you can get a clear ID of the license plate on the vehicle to let the office know so that they know exactly who it is, because you have to like sign up your car for where you're living. Like, they'll know what apartment it is. So I filed a complaint. It got down to a point where like they actually started following, like one of them followed me on one of my walks. And I like ran back and like talked to the police officer. And he was like, no, like go tell the front office. Go
report it. Yeah.
I couldn't report the police department because it's still nothing happened. But like, yeah, I reported it. And then I guess there were a couple other girls in the complex that had an issue.
Yeah, I was going to say, if they're doing it to you, they're probably doing it to other people too.
I would assume so. And the front office called me one day and they were like, hey, just so you know, like we've had a few complaints, like we're evicting them. But they were like, we still want you to be cautious because even though they're evicting, they still know where you are. They can still come back. And I will say, like, we're gated, but like they leave the gate open all the time. Like, like anybody can get in and they're never going to change the code. Like anybody can get in. So it's not the safest. But yeah, so that was fun. I was dealing with that.
We have a crazy definition of fun here.
Yeah, that was really fun. But
I think moral of the story is like, be careful, like be aware of your surroundings. Yeah. Because like you obviously clocked them. I feel
and
like
you clocked your guy outside of work. Like I wouldn't have, like that early in the morning driving to work, my brain isn't functioning. I'm just trying to get in and get my cup of coffee.
I'm glad I saw him.
Good for you.
I think like if you can be alert and aware of your surroundings when you're going out, like if you can make sure to keep as much personal information as you can, like private, like your phone number, your like my last name, I don't have it on any social media.
Yeah, I know. I've noticed.
Like, I don't have it because I don't want people to know. Yeah. Like, I've had enough bad experiences with this stuff to where I'm like, nobody needs to know my last name. Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is where, like, it's so funny because you and I have talked about, like, background checks, right? We're like, what are the different things you can do? And some people will literally do a background check on every single person that they're even deigned to, like, date.
This is where we get into the sleuthing part of this.
This is where we get into the sleuthing part. Yeah. But part of it is also like the stalking, not stalking part so much, but also just like general care.
Safety.
Like, and safety.
Yeah.
I personally don't really believe in doing background checks on people, but I think that's also because I feel like it is a breach of privacy. Like I wouldn't want somebody doing it on me. Not that they'd really find anything, but I like, just ask me. Right? Like, just ask me and I'll be honest with you.
That's you being an honest person, though.
I'm an honest person. I'm not a fucking freak. Like, in that way.
And unfortunately, there's bad people.
But I had a friend once who, she was out at, like, a bar, hit it off with this guy, low light, whatever. And she like went to the bathroom because he was like trying to take her home and like did one of those like immediate background checks where you like get at least like a general report, like you pay for it and it shows you like the public record. And he had like all kinds of assault charges, all kinds of stuff like that. And then later he ended up getting arrested for cannibalism. And she was like, was I going home to be eaten that night and not the way that I wanted to be?
Dating in 2024 is just... Here's the thing.
Insane.
I understand your philosophy around background checks from your perspective.
I want to hear yours, though. Yeah, being the person I am.
Fucking run them. If you're dating men, especially, like, if you're, like, straight women, I've heard so many horror stories of, like, men lying about their record.
Just people lying in general. It's not just men.
No. Yeah.
Obviously, I had a girl that was doing all kinds of crazy shit, and she also had a record.
The levels of like safety concern.
Oh yes, yes,
much higher.
Yes.
So I don't run a background check on everyone I date. Like I usually just trust them up front. But if I was dating men in this time, I would.
It's a little scary
because of everything that like you've heard. Like it's literally
horror
like
stories, personal
people lying about their name, people
yeah.
lying about their record, people being abusive. Like it's better to just be safe than be sorry. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I even have friends right now that are out there in the dating world and like they're experiencing like some crazy shit. So
crazy shit.
I think like you don't have to run a background check if you don't like want to pay for that, but like at least do some sleuthing.
Yeah.
Check social media.
I love
check
sleuthing.
Followers.
I love sleuthing.
Same.
Even in dating, like even for like the good, like
I sleuth when I date for sure.
I met this person at this bar and like this was their first name and I know that they do this for a living, but like I want to talk to them and I didn't get their number and I regret it. Stuff like that. I've helped so many people find people so that they can do that, but I was like, don't be a weirdo. I didn't help you to be a weirdo. You have to like be nice, and if they say no, you step away. Right?
Yeah. Take no for an answer.
But like it's so like you have like that added element of like background check. You can do that and you can find out some information. But I'm like, start with social media. Mm-hmm. Do a quick Google search. See what pops up. See what you can find. Use keywords, right? Like if they're really hard to find, either they're lying to you about something or they're so locked down on privacy that like maybe they've had some bad experiences and that's something to suss out. Yeah. But like a lot of the time it's the latter. Now there are Facebook groups where it's like, are we dating the same person? And you put up like a photo and be like, this is who I'm dating. Is anybody else in a relationship with someone because they're saying that they're single, right? And I don't want to be the other woman and not have the like autonomy to step away from it.
I like to check people's LinkedIn.
Oh, that was my next one, was LinkedIn. Mind you, the only caveat there is that LinkedIn does show you if somebody's looking at your profile.
You can go on stealth mode.
Wolf, did you know that? Wolf
I don't know
has a story.
What?
Can I tell you a story? It's just a little mini one. So when Wolf and my sister were like starting and talking and stuff like that, he would like look at her like sometimes
was it alerting her?
And it would alert her every time. So she was getting like multiple alerts of him looking at her LinkedIn profile.
That's adorable.
And I think it is the most wholesome, adorable thing.
That is so cute.
Like, and he didn't know that it alerted you.
What were you looking for?
So she hated taking pictures of herself.
She has very few photos of herself on the internet.
You couldn't
like
see.
period.
Didn't send me hardly anything.
Okay.
Yeah. I was literally going just to look at her profile.
Like she's so pretty.
Like one photo because it's just the one.
It's one.
That's so
She has like no photos.
That's actually that's a wholesome stalking.
But he didn't realize that it was notifying her every time he was hopping on her.
I was so embarrassed. I went one more time and screenshotted it so I didn't have to keep looking for her.
True love.
It's really cute.
True love.
I think it's cute.
Wait, I have a question for you. Okay. When you start dating somebody new, do you get like obsessed with like their social media and like look at it over and over and over and over?
I do that
and look at the same shit over and over and over
yes,
and over?
I'm obsessive in general. Like,
I do that
if
too.
I'm in because I also want them to do the same to me. Like, please go look at all my shit.
Yeah.
Like, but I also do that like through the whole relationship.
Yeah. No, I do
I'm like,
too.
oh, you're just so pretty. Like,
yeah, I do too. Me and my wife like had a conversation about this where I was like, did you stalk me? And they were like, yeah, it was all up in your profile every day. I was like, I was up in yours. And you didn't have a lot in there.
I think, Wolf, you should just start doing it again where you just start showing up on her LinkedIn again out of the blue just as like a joke. Because it's been years.
So funny.
Like, why are you on my LinkedIn again? You literally see me every day. Like,
It's still, though, I like to stalk people that I love.
I love LinkedIn. LinkedIn's fun.
LinkedIn's fun. I like Facebook for the fact of, like, people have, like, years and years and years.
Oh, my God.
And like, history.
Guys, there are some people who are locked
shit
down on theirs, and I go through, like, this is where my obsessive craziness comes in. I have gone through every single photo for like a 5-year time frame, and I have looked at all the comments and found like all of like anybody that's tagged or something like that. And I have gone the like roundabout way if they were like completely locked down on their profile. I have gone through friends, and because usually those friends are connected to other people in your group and they're connected to family. I've gone through siblings, and I've gone through all the photos there to be able to like find out information on people. Yeah. Like I go down the fucking rabbit hole. Yeah. If I want to know things about you. If I'm invested, I'm invested.
I was going to say, I'm like that too, but my motivation for doing it is like, I have 2 different types of motivation. One is like, I like am so intrigued by you and I want to learn more, or I'm making sure that what you're telling me is like adding up. Yeah. Like there's 2 different like phases of this.
And then there's like the offset one where it's like, I'm planning to destroy you.
Oh, yeah. I have in every bitch who's ever fucked me over, I have, like, stalked to figure out information so that I could then, like, use it.
Yeah.
And be like, scary. Yeah, I am scary. Don't fuck me over. Like, I will come for you. Bridget knows.
She'll come for you, and then if you hurt her, because she is very small, I will have to come for you.
She's very small, very tiny.
Small. Hey, I will have to come for you, and then I will have to... Yeah, to make it look like an accident.
And then we'll use the incinerator. Finally.
Yeah, that could be fun.
So exciting.
I love fire.
I'm a pyro.
Stop. Flames! Okay.
The couch just bursts into flames.
Anyways, LinkedIn, social media, background checks. What else do you do?
I've Googled people before, like just a pure Google search. I'm trying to think. I've never really stalked on Twitter. I don't like Twitter.
I don't even have Twitter.
I don't have it either. Yeah. Like I would have to download it. That's too much trouble for me. I think TikTok. Oh, TikTok. Facebook.
You gotta be careful on TikTok though, because it notifies you if you look at somebody's profile.
If you have your profile notifications turned on.
Look,
am
80.
You can turn that shit off, guys. If you want to do effective stalking, you can turn that shit off.
I get to the point where I just don't give a fuck, and I'm like, you can see me on your shit.
let me give you a tidbit. Here's one thing I will say. If you have somebody blocked and you want to unblock them to stalk them really quickly, and you have profile views turned on, because I've had somebody else do this to me, and then you reblock them, it still fucking tells me that you're looking at my profile, bitch. Don't do that shit. If you don't want me to see it, like, don't unblock me.
Oh my God.
Just create another profile and stalk that way. It's so funny.
Really aggressive version of this, but you could do what my mother did.
Oh God.
And pay a PI to follow them.
Yeah. That's
and
like
take
actual
photos.
Stalking.
Because they do. I mean, literally anybody can be a PI, I'm pretty sure.
Have you seen that girl on TikTok that like always wears the little like eye things under her eyes? She's like a masked lesbian. She goes around with a camcorder and women pay her to follow their husbands. And like she's just living her best life. Sitting in her car, she has the best snacks. She's always doing self-care while she's doing it.
You just are saying things. Our algorithms are vastly different.
I love her. I love you. If you're listening, I love you.
Send me one of her videos so I can watch.
I will.
That sounds like fun.
It's so fun.
I enjoy. She does stakeout.
There was one that she did. She was like following this dad, and like his daughter was the one that paid her. She was like, I think that my dad's cheating on my mom. She followed him around all day, and this man is so sweet. He just wanted some time alone. He goes to get ice cream. He takes himself to a movie. He does a self-care day. He did a self-care day. He went and watched live music and was like dancing around.
That's precious.
And she was like, your dad is a fucking angel. Leave him alone.
Leave him alone. He's just having a self-care
He just
day.
wants to get away from you guys.
What's the craziest thing you've ever done?
To stalk somebody?
Yeah. I have straight up like followed them and like figured out their frequented areas and kind of like when to like show up and bump into them and be like, oh my God.
Ooh, that's crazy. I
know.
That's insane.
It has been a while since I've done that. I don't do that as much as
I've never physically like I've never physically shown up to anything. I only have ever like social media stalked.
Yeah.
I think the craziest thing I've done is like create a fake profile to like see what somebody's up to.
Okay.
I don't have one right now because I don't give a fuck what y'all are up to anymore. Just so y'all know, if you're listening, I don't care.
I think I tried to do that once, but I'm like not.
I can help you.
No, I don't want one. Like this was like early on in my lesbian years where I was like, I'm obsessive with women. Like, whoa, women. Like
that was when I like, created one too. Was when I like was a new baby.
But the thing is, what did you create yours as? Like, who was your person?
Oh, it was there was no person. It was just a ghost
That's
profile.
Great. I tried to make one and I was Ruby Rose.
Wait.
I feel like this is just girlhood.
This is being a girl.
Like,
here's the thing is like
there are some girls that take it to the nth degree and they get some fucking crazy shit. And I will say, be careful these days, especially if you're going to be like really fucking weird and show up in places, because like Ring doorbells exist.
I would advise against ever showing
physically
up.
do that.
Don't
if you want to social media stalk, that's okay.
That's
but
pretty
like,
harmless. Like,
but like from a safety perspective, people are going to be like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah.
Because if the roles were reversed and it was like a man doing it to you, you would be highly uncomfortable. But if you do it to like a guy, like you're just as bad.
Yeah, it's just stalking is stalking.
Don't be weird.
Don't stalk people. But sleuth people. There's a difference. Stalking and sleuthing are different. But again, it's like a lot of the sleuthing stuff, it's like you're either, it's because you think someone is like so amazing and you're in love with them, or
you're trying to get to the bottom of.
You're trying to figure out if you're in danger or not.
Yeah.
I will say I've never like sleuthed somebody that I was interested in before I like started really liking them. My sleuthing kicks in after I like you.
After it's like,
and it's like a mutual thing. Like I'm not out here ever sleuthing somebody that it's like not a reciprocal.
Oh no,
that's weird.
Yeah,
just so y'all know, that's a little bit.
That's the thing is that I think about that all the time with the first story I told.
Yeah,
is that like it wasn't until TikTok where things started implementing where it would show people on your profile. I can't imagine, because she wasn't blocked the first time. I just cut off contact. I can't imagine how much information she was gathering over like a 3-year period. That's weird.
Don't do that.
Very strange.
But yeah. Yeah, I mean, do your research. Not too much, though. Don't make it weird.
Yeah. There's a line.
Yeah, I also think, like, another thing you have to be careful about, this is a little bit of, like, a diversion from our main topic, but it's also like related to social media.
Okay.
I've had people use my photos
for
catfishing accounts and other Instagram accounts, which is another thing to like be aware of. That's not really stalking, but it is like something that people need to think about before you like make your profile public. Like you're kind of putting my profiles are all public, but you're kind of putting yourself at risk for that. So just be aware.
It's free media for people to grab.
Yeah.
I think that like, but that's also like very like, oh, thank you. You thought I was hot enough to make a fake profile. Guys,
that's like a compliment, but also
tried last year to get Bethany to apply for the show The Circle with me, which she thought was a dating show, which in actuality it's a catfish show, which I will say the season we went to kind of turned into a dating show, but like not everybody has to date. Like it's still like catfish. Like let's see if we form connections or not. And it was so funny because there's so many people I've talked to where I was like, she didn't want to apply for it, and we would have been great because we could have been in the same room and catfish people together. It would have been so funny. And honestly, if they still do it, I might be like, we should apply.
We could.
But because I think it'd be fun. But so many people have agreed with me that we cannot use your photos because you don't look real. Like they won't believe that you are who you are. Not that your photos don't look real, but like you're too beautiful and too cool and too smart that like they wouldn't believe. Like we have to be me because I'm a fucking weirdo sometimes on the internet, and they're like, oh, that's relatable. That's a human. That's a real human right there. And then like you can be cool behind that. We could tandem, but we can't use you because you're too perfect. We all agree. It's a common consensus.
I will say when me and my wife met, we talked for like 2 weeks and they thought that I was a catfish. I was like, what do you mean? Like I have a whole Instagram profile. And they were like, yeah, I just thought, I don't know. I thought somehow like you were catfishing me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I've told you about this. They like fully lied to me about having a sister because they thought I was catfishing them. And they thought that would like conceal their identity somehow because like, they were high.
I understand.
But it's a great
Still
idea.
logical.
The beef I have with that show is that people are in there alone from what I've seen. Like, if I went with you, it'd be different. I couldn't talk to myself like that.
Oh,
people are in there fucking talking to themselves the whole show. And I would get so annoyed. Because when I'm alone, I'm silent. I'm a monk. I'm like meditating. Like,
I could do it.
You could do it. You would be great at it.
Yeah.
But when you pitched the idea,
together.
I didn't realize we would be in the same room. In this scenario. I would do it like that.
We'd be hanging out all day.
Yeah.
For like a few weeks, like a month.
Okay, well, catch us on the circle next season. I guess we're doing this.
I think it'd be fun.
So to wrap this up, we are going to be posting some resources this week on a serious note for what to look out for, safety tips when it comes to like being stalked. And if you want a sleuth, like you know how. You don't need a 101 for that.
Yeah.
We just gave you some tips. But just so y'all know, you can turn off profile viewing on LinkedIn, on TikTok.
DM Beth for a step-by-step process.
I will let you know how to do this in an actual stealthy way. And with that,
we're helpful. We love you guys.
Is this a book that...
It's literally Sudoku.
I thought you were going to be like sharing something.
No. It was my emotional support book.
Well, I have my emotional support blanket for this episode because I want it to be warm.
Cozy.
And I'm
books and blankets.
Still. Yeah. B&B.
Oh, I know. Cozy with B&B.
That's cute.
It is. Should start a second podcast.
No. That's a lot.
This is it. This is all you get. Spicy trauma.
Spicy!
It's time for Spicy Trauma.
Each week, we like to wrap up with our spicy trauma.
Tell us your spicy trauma. DM us or use the link in our bio to share your story. So we have a very special treat for you all.
The most special treat
on this episode.
Of all treats.
None other than our very own producer, Wolf, is going to share a spicy trauma with you.
His stalking story.
Yeah, very on brand.
Hello. Hi. I bet it's weird for the listeners to hear me in such quality instead of reverberating off all the walls. Yeah, so one of my spicy traumas was actually told in season 1. And
I forgot about
that same person did not take our breakup very well.
Not surprised.
So I let her down as softly as I thought I could. Over the course of a week, I started getting more and more texts from her, phone calls, just like constant messages to the point where I was like, all right, I need some space if we're going to even think about being just friends after this.
Yeah.
How many would you say? Like notifications?
Oh, like 5 an hour maybe.
Oh my God. Yeah, so not just some.
No, because she would talk to me as if we were still together, like giving me updates about what she was doing throughout her day and things like that.
Oh.
So it was basically her talking to herself, expecting me to reply and read everything.
Oh no. Sorry, Bridget. I love you. It's fine. I didn't even think about it.
Bethany's attacking me. Anyways, continue, Wolf.
It was not targeted.
But it was like the most mundane shit, you know. Anyway. I tried to be like, I just need some space, you know, this.
Fair.
After a while, I was like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to block you. So I blocked her on my phone. About a week later, Facebook message.
Great.
Eventually Instagram message.
Oh, no.
So this all happened in April of 2017. My birthday is in July.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't talk to me for like 2 months. And then I get an email.
An email?
An email from PayPal.
Oh.
Hey, here's $22 for your 22nd birthday.
I mean, at least she paid you.
Yeah.
You got paid to be stalked. It's a business idea.
And by that time, I had kind of calmed down. So I unblocked her temporarily. And
like, thanks for the gift.
Yeah, I was like, thanks. I hope you're okay. But that's basically it. We talked for like maybe a week.
And then she disappeared?
Disappeared again. I didn't block her, but she disappeared again. She like actually gave me some space.
Okay.
And then.
I knew it. At the end of August, I get a text message from her. Will you hurry up already?
With what?
Yeah, so I asked her, what are you talking about?
Was I supposed to be somewhere?
She says, it's like 8 at night. She's like, I've been in your driveway for 2 hours. I'm surprised you or your parents haven't come out and said anything yet.
What? That's terrifying.
I was like, what the fuck? I go and I just peek out my window because from there I could kind of see the end of the driveway. It would go on the side of our house, but not like you couldn't like see down it. And I saw that there were headlights in my driveway.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, no fucking way. I go out there and she's not in the car. She's between the car and the fence, laying on the ground, like just staring up at the sky.
Oh.
What?
Oh my God.
It's like a horror movie.
And she's like, I've been here for over 2 hours.
Laying on the ground?
And I'm bored. Yes.
And the headlights are on?
Yeah.
So the car's running?
The car's running.
How is the gas even?
I don't know.
She's just stranding herself.
I don't know. But I was like furious.
Yeah.
I would be too.
Well, because also your parents' house.
Yeah.
So then your parents have to deal with that shit.
Yeah, and one of the rules, I guess I should say, that she broke was like, I don't care if you smoke weed. You can't do it at my house.
Yeah.
My parents aren't really okay with that. It would just be extremely disrespectful. They probably wouldn't freak out.
Oh, yeah.
But it was just not cool. You do that on your own time in your own place.
Yeah, that's fair.
And she did that.
She's like high as a kite on the ground outside of your house for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is, like, we had broken up months before because she had done that previously.
She has no respect.
And she, I guess, made the mistake of telling me that she did because she was like, oh, on one of our nights when I was meeting up with you, I got here a little early and got high before coming in because I was nervous to talk to you about some
box
stuff.
outside of your house.
And I was like,
do it before you go.
So you did something that you knew would really upset me because you were afraid of upsetting me?
Logic. This is what we mean by not going too far. Don't just like show up at people's houses.
That's crazy.
Oh my God. Is there
How
more?
did you get her to leave?
So she wouldn't leave. I brought her inside and I talked to her. I tried to be like kind of calm about it. I let her know I was pissed off. I remember as I walked her into the house, we passed by my dad's office and he was like, oh, and I was like, yeah, look who it is. And he's just like gave me the weirdest freaking look. So I took her up to my room for like a half hour just to talk to her and be like, this can't happen. You can never do this again. I will call the cops. This is not okay. You know, you can't do this to anybody. Thankfully, that was pretty much the end of it. I think she messaged me one more time, but that was basically it.
Girl. I hope
but
she's
like
in a better place now. Not
sorry,
like,
I was
not
like dead.
Not like that. She's like mentally.
I'm so sorry.
She's quite.
I hope she's in a better place. I was like, yeah, dead.
But she was like, when she realized how upset I was, then she got upset. And I think she was expecting me to like, because she started like crying and stuff.
Because she finally got the hint that it was over.
I guess.
And that you weren't coming back.
And she wanted you to console her.
Yes, and I wasn't giving her anything. I was giving her no emotional support.
Will you hurry up already? I want to know, like, the mindset there. Like, if I show up and I sit in his front yard, he'll think that I'm dedicated and will fall back in love with me when he sees me. And that will be bad.
Like, nah, girl, you're
But between the time we had broken up, I had already, like, I met somebody else and, like, we were... I don't count it as a relationship because we were only official for like a week. And then she basically ghosted me. She sent me one last message saying goodbye. But anyway, I was already like on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Can I ask?
She was my first girlfriend, by the way.
Can I ask how long you were together for her to do all of this?
4 months. January 22nd to April 22nd.
That's wild.
So
that's a very short period of time to be that aggressive.
Yeah, well, to me, that was my first real relationship, my first girlfriend. Mm-hmm. So it was like a really big deal for me. So I was trying really hard to be a good boyfriend.
I gotta do this right.
Yeah.
It sounds like you were very patient with her and nice to her.
Yeah, and she's given me trauma in other ways.
I'm sure.
As we've heard.
Yeah. And one of them kind of ruining some future things for me being that like shower sex is not a thing for me because of her. And I'm also extremely self-conscious of my breath.
Oh.
I never had bad breath.
Yeah.
She would ask me, "Did you brush your teeth?" Constantly.
Meanwhile,
for Valentine's Day, she got me a new toothbrush.
What the fuck?
What?
And I was like, "Do I stink?"
You were like, "What are you trying to tell me?"
And she was like, "No." Like why would you even ask that? What a silly question. I was like, "Well, you won't shut up about brushing my teeth."
Interesting. I've heard somebody else say that a partner did this to them before, and that partner ended up being like a narcissistic abuser and was trying to make her self-conscious and insecure about something that wasn't valid. It was about the way she smelled.
So that she would rely on that person because she would think everybody else would think that she smelled, but this person
it's
would
a
stay
manipulative
with her.
Yeah, she was totally that kind of person because one of the things that really like harshed the relationship was her always being like, "Do you really like me? Are you mad at me? You're mad at me." And I was like, "No, everything's fine."
The whole 4 months was spicy trauma.
Basically.
She is spicy trauma.
Bit after bit. There was
my God.
There was a couple nice experiences. Like, I don't regret the relationship because I learned so much from my very first relationship.
Especially about what you don't want.
Exactly. And how much I should put up with before something's got to give.
Oh
like,
God.
I feel like you can, after something like that, you can pick up on those red flags faster and cut it off faster. Because you're like, I know where that goes.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Next.
Yeah. So anyway, I was a victim of some stalking.
Some weird shit. I'm so sorry.
Damn. We've all been victims.
You're in a better place now. Alive.
Yes.
I guess that's the best we can ask for.
There's one thing that just sticks in the back of my head. Like, what if she's come other times and I didn't know? Like, what if she showed up more times? Because she was out there for hours without us knowing.
Yeah, I would imagine she probably has. Because it's like, why did she go
did I mention she lived an hour and a half away?
Oh my God.
Yeah, she was over in, I was in like South Dallas, and she was way east in Maybank.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So she stayed in your driveway longer than it took her to drive there.
Yes.
Girl.
So it was probably like 5 hours of her day to do what she did.
Just to get herself upset.
Lord have mercy.
Damn. Don't be that girl. Don't be the guys that stalked us.
Just don't be that.
Don't
do that. Don't do it.
Don't be weird.
Yeah. I wish I could say I was flattered, but it was just...
Yeah, it's not.
It didn't work.
I think people think it's going to be flattering, but then when you actually experience it, it's just scary.
I think people actually have an idea of grandeur in that. Like, it's like this over-romanticized, like, oh, we're going to see each other, and they're going to be like, oh my God. Like, because there are TV shows, right? Where they're like, oh, you show up in the driveway, and it's angsty and glamorized, which, like, in the right context,
I'm going to throw pebbles at my window.
Yeah, but you have to read the room.
When somebody's broken up with you and it's been months and they're saying, don't contact me, and they've blocked you on everything,
don't.
You just cut your losses, babe.
Them.
Cut your losses.
Wow. Woo!
Thank you, Wolf.
Thank you, Wolfie.
That was a great spicy trauma.
Man.
Thanks for listening.
Always.
Thanks for listening.
You listen to our bullshit.
So much of it.
So much of it. Oh my God. But yeah.
Well, we're sharing a mic.
Yeah.
First time ever.
Be safe. We love the fuck out of you guys.
Have fun. Not too much fun, though.
Yeah. Be good or don't. We won't.
We never will.
Bye.
If you like today's episode, follow us on social media at Trauma Bondage Pod. Follow Beth at Modern Day Lilith and Bridget at Your Fae Femme.
If voyeurism is your kink, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Trauma Bondage Podcast. Production by Instrumental Media. Special thanks to D. Dumpy and Wolfstar for music.
Wow. Wow.
See ya.
Bye. See ya.
See ya.
Wouldn't wanna be ya.
Stop.
Can we just?
we can't.
We can't be friends.